better not have no plans tonight.
Movie time and it's feeling right.
You're looking for a love that lasts. You'll find it at Romancing the Podcast. Ooh, ooh, baby, you had me at hello. Ooh, I love you.
I know.
Ooh, ooh, baby, you're the wind beneath my wings. Ooh, ah, I'll have what she's having.
Idris Elba is packing. We all know it.
I'm going to type into my work computer, does Idris Elba have a huge dick?
You know he does.
He's got BDE.
Yeah, dude, I've seen takers where he gets out of bed in boxer shorts. Yeah.
This is from news24.com. I don't know if that's a news site.
Close enough.
The title of this article is Idris Elba talks to Maxim Mag about his massive penis.
That means it must be true.
The 42-year-old British actor admitted he's happy with the rumor that he has a massive penis after seeing his Twitter followers rise sharply back in August 2014 after photos were released from the set of his film 100 Streets, seemingly showing him with a very impressive bulge in his trousers.
I am so glad that him and I have so much in common. He has a vitamin water picture out there, and he's like, I love this rumor, and I love that picture. I will not comment on it further.
So, Mikey, just like you do like the rumor, though. You won't say if it's actually a rumor or if it's fact, but you enjoy the rumor.
You might be interested to note, in fun facts later, they were the third set of casting for this movie. This movie went through like 3 different casts. And at least one of those other casts also was packing, so.
Nice. Was it Michael Fassbender?
Yes, it was.
Yeah. That makes sense. Although, Paige, I hear the reason they went with Idris Elba was to save on the budget because for like the fuselage that got stuck on the mountain, they just used his penis.
Jeez. Okay. This is terrible and bordering on racist. Like the dog in this movie.
All right, we got to start. We don't even do laugh lines for this podcast, and we got like 4 of them.
Thank you for tuning into Romancing the Pod. You had us at hello. I'm Paige Wesley.
I'm Mikey Randolph.
And I'm Todd Schlosser. And this week, Mikey made us watch
The Mountain Between Us.
So, Mikey, this was not the first time you had seen it. Paige, it was for us, though, right?
It was my first time, yes.
Okay, confession time.
Let's do it.
I'm a bit of a fanboy for this property. I really liked the book. I really liked the movie. And it was like, I never thought about picking it because it was like, I watched it and I was like, oh, that's pretty decent. And it wasn't like bonkers where we usually pick movies. But because our picks have been like so all over the place, I was like, I want to pick a romantic movie that I liked that is kind of bonkers.
So we're going to fight today is what you're saying?
You didn't like it?
This movie is terrible, Mikey. Mikey, this movie is bad.
No.
I did not enjoy this movie at all. This movie has more walking in it than Lord of the Rings.
Oh, that's not true, Paige.
Yes, it is. This entire movie is them walking from log to log and then sitting and having half a conversation, then walking to the next log.
But you have to understand why Mikey loves this movie.
I don't understand.
Can I tell you why?
Yes, please.
Oh my
Please
God.
enlighten me.
So it features a toothy woman who trauma bonds with a very attractive, well-hung gentleman. He saves her like 4 times, and then he selflessly walks away after they both have fully fallen in love with each other so that she can be with her fiance again. And then she breaks up with her fiance and gets back together with him, and they end up together. That's why Mikey loves this movie. That is Mikey's version of love.
I don't like how personal that this attack has become.
Let me lay out my very not personal frustrations with this film.
Okay.
Number 1, I love Kate Winslet. If Kate Winslet's in a movie, it's almost always a slam dunk for me because I really love her. I could not stand her in this movie. And it's not her. It's the way the character is written to the point where she is so illogical at times that I'm like, you're going to get them both killed. But then on top of that, this movie could be a half hour shorter, a solid half hour shorter, and would feel a little bit better because there's a whole middle section of this movie where we're kind of going around in circles, where it's just like walking. They can't get to the thing that they need to. Walking. They still can't get to the thing. Walking. They're not going to make it. Oh no, they find a cabin. But it's like 40 minutes of a lot of the same, and me knowing that his wife was dead from the jump because they telegraphed it, just like every war movie that shows a picture of the girl they're going back home. Like, at a certain point, I was like, I know exactly how the rest of this movie is going to go. And there's still 60 minutes of it left somehow.
Yeah.
And so for me, I won't be watching this again. I also don't find it remotely romantic. I know they try to make it a romantic movie, but this is trauma bonding the movie.
I know. And that's why I kind of picked it because we talked about it so much the last episode. I was like, you know what reminds me of trauma bonding? The mountain between us. And she does. I like this movie because, Kate Winslet tries to kill them like 4 or 5 times and then maybe accidentally saves him at the very end when he has a bear trap on him.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And then he's like, you saved my life.
He would have even had that bear trap if she didn't make him go look for the dog twice.
Yeah, why is that man's work?
She had a broken leg on some level. Like, she could barely walk on her own.
Wow. A Kate Winslet apologist right here in the audience.
No, I'm going to be a dog apologist because even though that dog is clearly racist, that dog saves both of them more times than either of them saves anybody.
Oh, no. That is the best dog ever. I mean, it's a good dog.
It's a blatantly racist dog, and maybe it's just a product of its time.
What did you guys expect from Beau Bridges? He's obviously raising racist dogs. You're talking about, because I think his character is written to be even older than he is. So you have a very old white man bush pilot with a dog. What do you think he's done with it?
This was like Grown Up Hatchet, where they like shoehorned in a sex scene. And I was like, you know what I don't need in Hatchet? A sex scene.
He found a cabin, Paige. There's like an implication there. If you take a girl for a cabin weekend, it doesn't matter if your plane crashed on the way. It doesn't matter if it's your uncle's cabin.
It doesn't matter if you're in an outhouse and there's Nazi zombies outside.
Right. Something's happening in that cabin. You know what I'm saying?
I do think it's hilarious that she was passed out. Like, she fell onto the ice. She was like out of it when he took her to the cabin. And I would have, if I was him, been like, I built this fucking cabin for us.
Todd, I'm worried because I was concerned for Mikey when if Mikey thought this was actually a romantic movie, but now I'm concerned to ever lose consciousness around you in worries that I might wake up in a cabin with you claiming you built it just so I'll think you're manlier than you are.
Paige, when we get to the Airbnb, the first thing I will say is I built this Airbnb.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things we have to all be aware of is never lose consciousness around Todd. That's a universal rule.
You're going to wake up with feet prints all over your face.
Oh, my God. And feet hairs.
I pluck them and then lay them on you.
Strategically.
I like survival movies, and I think they're like a terrible subgenre, especially the survival romance, which I think is only like maybe 4 films.
You mean like 6 Days, 7 Nights?
Yeah.
This is the not fun version of 6 Days, 7 Nights.
That's because it's not tropical, Paige.
Not only A, it's not tropical. B, it doesn't have pithy, fun dialogue. But I think it's impossible to do that in the snow because you're like, no, they really could die like at any moment.
Yeah.
But Paige, think about how hard they swung at this movie with this cast, with this sort of production value. They swung so hard, and I bought it for $1 more than they rented it.
This is the first time I saw this movie. I sort of loved it. Although I will say,
thank you, Todd.
Paige is absolutely right with every one of her criticisms. I knew exactly what was going to happen 60 minutes before it happened, but I was sort of like along for the ride. And I think it's probably just because I do sort of like, this is really a survival film. It's not really like a romantic movie.
I feel like there shouldn't be a romance in it, personally.
So, hot take, you could change like one element of this and it becomes a horror movie. And that element is Idris Elba wants to leave her. And then she has to manipulate him to get him to save her. And that's why they have sex. And then it could be very dark.
Alternate horror movie take. He's known that there was a town nearby the entire time.
Oh, dirty.
He did not my Idris Elba.
I mean, I will say what I said before we started recording again. This movie needed more cannibalism.
Of course you'd say that. Of course.
I like this movie because there's a level of bonkers. It's like a very serious, very like taken seriously movie, but there's like an underlying level of bonkersness throughout the whole thing where like 5 minutes into the movie, Kate Winslet's like, you can go on without me and let me die. And he's like, what the fuck? We've been here for like 12 hours.
They've been there for 3 days, but also, he could have. So,
You know what he wouldn't have done? Stepped in that bear trap.
yeah.
But I mean, I do sort of like this type of movie. I think Idris Elba's always amazing in everything he does. Kate Winslet's
Yes.
more or less the same. I thought she was great in this, although I don't particularly like her character. Like, if that person existed in reality, I wouldn't want to hang out with her, whereas I would want to hang out with Idris Elba.
We get it. You want to fuck Idris Elba, just like
Who
Kate
does?
Winslet.
Definitely. I
That's
know.
true.
Thank you. Thank you, Mikey.
Same. Everybody does.
Okay, so like if I was on a plane crash with either of these people, I'd be like we're gonna have sex, right? Like, me and Kate Winslet, like
As soon as we boarded the chartered flight, I'd like, these are more likely to crash, right? Do you have condoms?
condom, we're gonna die.
Honestly,
That's true.
I don't think
That's
you
fair.
pull out in this situation. Like, why would you? You're both going to die.
As fast as Kate Winslet begs her to leave him the first time, I would be like, I guess we gotta fuck, right?
To stay warm, right?
Yeah.
The second they hit turbulence, he'd be looking at Kate Winslet like, hey, should we just start?
Who's your ideal celebrity mountain buddy? Like, if it couldn't be Idris Elba, who would it be for you?
But honestly, Idris
Female
Elba would
or
be
male?
really high up on that list because
It could
he
be
is.
male or female. It's up to you. But I mean,
Oh no, I'm gonna need someone who can get me down the mountain,
ooh, okay.
who can like backpack me, Sherpa me down the mountain.
Not me. I need somebody who can slide down my mouth.
I just want to live. I don't want to fuck. I would go with, I don't know his name, but the guy who played Gregor Clegane in Game of Thrones.
Jesus. So you can eat him? He's more meat? I don't
No,
understand.
because he's a big ass dude. He was the mountain in Game of Thrones, and he could carry me down the mountain.
You wouldn't bring Hodor?
Yeah, I think mine would be Emily Blunt.
Ooh, that's a good call. Mikey, the girl from Fresh, I really feel like you and her would like hit it off.
Yeah,
He's
she could come to
gonna
that plane.
eat her, Todd.
I mean, she's probably going to like it, honestly. That's the goal, right?
God. Yeah, I get it. I get the joke.
I'm gonna pick 1980. I'm gonna pick 1980s Kyle Reese. Get me out of it.
Honestly, if I'm ever on a plane going down, I'm probably going to pass out before it crashes because I'll be yelling so much. Like, I'll be so terrified.
I shouldn't be laughing picturing it, but I'm just picturing you scared and screaming yourself unconscious.
Paige, that is...
Honestly, it's doing it for me. I like it.
This movie really teaches a lesson of what happens when the airlines cancel a flight and you decide to like go around their authority. Like they cancel flights for a reason, people.
Yeah. I mean, you could have ended up in this plane crash or on a bus, train, plane, automobile with John Candy. Like, it's never a good thing.
I don't like polka music either, but it's better than being stuck on the top of a mountain.
So the part that was cut from my movie is I'd be arguing with the pilot the whole time. Like, what do you mean you didn't file a flight plan? Like, we always need to file a flight plan.
I have facts about this. You actually don't always need to file a flight plan, as I have learned from listening to many, many hours of Black Box Down.
But I would be like, I think we should. I am paying you. I think you should file a flight plan. I am the paying customer.
You wouldn't have gotten to take off, Mikey. But then you'd be alive.
Yeah. I mean, it is technically a win-win. But you wouldn't have had sex with Idris Elba, so it's a lose-lose.
Yeah, but I'll talk about it when we get to it in the movie about why they don't have a flight plan and what that means.
I honestly thought, in fact, I was watching this movie with Natalie, and when the panther or mountain lion or whatever comes and attacks Kate Winslet.
Cougar.
Cougar. Ooh, a cougar against a cougar. Who's going to win? When the cougar comes after Kate Winslet and the dog runs outside to save her or whatever, and then you think the dog gets killed, I was like, this is why Mikey loves this movie. A wild...
Because Macy basically gets
a
killed.
wild dog that gets killed halfway through it. All right, I'm into it.
First off, don't compare Dog to Macy. Dog is amazing. Dog is where I want Macy to be.
On a mountain away from you? Got it.
Dog defended her at first.
I mean, honestly, the dog is the most likable character in this movie.
Honestly, and the movie starts out really good with like, I thought all the scenes with the plane on top of the mountain were cool, like the alive scenes.
I thought it was
And
great.
just as they climb down, the quality goes down as well.
Yeah.
But I still really like the movie. There's just something about it when you put it all together. I was like, damn it.
Nah.
I love this plane crash.
Yeah, but I do think it's not super romantic. Like, even when they're having
No.
sex, it feels more like, we're probably going to die. Do you want to, like, just hammer it out real quick? Like, that's what it felt like more than they fell in love.
You don't understand. She held him hostage with his nudes that she took on the mountain. She literally blackmailed him.
Oh,
Wait.
wow. Mikey,
Okay, wait.
I don't think you can say that. Mikey.
No, I meant like she blackmailed him. She mailed him the photos and was like, I'm going to release these if you don't come find me.
Mikey, I'm going to demand you spell the word blackmail so we know if or if not you are a racist person.
M-A-I-L. After that came out of my mouth, I could see where people could perceive it like that. But I meant Kate Winslet mails her the nudes that she took of him. Was like,
keep stammering. It's helping your case.
Hey, Paige, you know how when someone like over like qualifies something, definitely doesn't make him seem not guilty.
It's like how you guys gave me shit last week on Horror Virgin for saying Sebastian Stan was still hot and fresh.
well, he was eating people.
Yeah, he was eating people, Paige.
I don't see how this is any.
Let me get us back on topic. So like, I like Paige. I do think that this movie is very like, you understand where it's going and it doesn't deviate from that. Like from the moment you hear his wife's voice on that recorder, you know she died. You know she didn't just leave him.
Yep.
And you know it's like from a long time ago because it starts off with, you know, my dearest Idris.
Yep.
I have come down with consumption.
Tuberculosis of the titties.
Also, it's very unethical that he became her doctor.
Oh,
Right?
yeah. When he said that, I was like, they wouldn't allow that. There's no way they would allow that. That's a hippo violation. If I learned anything
They
from
don't
Mikey.
have that in England, bro. I don't know their laws.
He
over there.
practiced in Baltimore. That is in the U.S.
He's from London.
He is from London, but he said he practiced medicine in Baltimore, which I think is what happens to Stringer Bell, right? He becomes a doctor in Baltimore. Should we maybe talk about the movie when Paige is done eating a cookie? Is it a cookie?
Yes. I've been eating a cookie.
I have jelly beans.
I'm not eating because I'm a professional.
Professional fucking loser, you bitch.
I fucking love you guys. Like, I miss you guys when we don't talk. Like, we didn't record it all this weekend, and I was like, I miss them.
Anyway, back to this movie. We open on an airport where Kate Winslet and Idris Elba are trying to get flights to Denver, but all flights are grounded because of a storm. So we find out from each of them kind of making phone calls that he's trying to get back to Baltimore for a surgery. She's trying to get back to New York for her wedding.
Yeah.
So nothing's coming off the ground. So she kind of grabs him and is like, I think we're in the same boat. Come with me, and hires a private charter.
Now, why do you think she does this?
Because she's stupid, Todd. Because for the rest of this movie, she makes every bad decision you could make. Not a single good decision comes from this woman's brain in this film.
Yeah, I think the author's a little sexist, maybe. I would say it's because she doesn't really want to marry Dylan McDermott.
Dilly McDermott?
It's Dylan McDermott. Because he is on the way to the wedding in a bread truck chasing that wedding, but who's chasing her?
Then the storm's chasing her, but who's chasing the storm?
The people from Twister. And if this is a rom-com, so is fucking Twister. Are we going to watch Twister next?
I'd love to. That sounds amazing.
It's one of my favorite movies as a child.
It's our show. We can watch whatever we want.
We're not watching Twister next.
This one was marketed as a romance, at least.
No, it was not,
No,
Mikey.
100% it was.
No, you are smoking crack. This was marketed as like a disaster movie.
Hold on, I just spilled water all over my computer.
Oh no.
My God, you beautiful idiot.
Oh no. Okay,
He's-
hold on.
He's literally picking ice off the keyboard.
God dang it.
Put it in a bag of rice.
It's everywhere. It's inside the case.
I shouldn't be laughing, but this is...
I do love that we can see his camera like around his room as he's like picking up the laptop and trying to shake it out and stuff.
Look up Paige.
You gotta tip it so the water drains out.
Oh my God.
Oh no, your camera went out, Mikey!
No, stay with me, Mikey. It's so cold.
Don't let go, Mikey!
Don't let go. Never let go.
Mikey, can you hear us? I think he's fucked. Mikey, can you hear me?
Mikey, can you see me?
It's on the floor. Hold on.
Get Macy to look it up. Is it okay?
Okay's a strong word.
Is it on the keyboard though?
Oh yeah.
That's where your motherboard is, Mikey.
I'm fairly aware.
Should you maybe try and dry it out and we record this another time?
No, it's good. We're good to go. We got this. It was only sprinkled on the keyboard and screen. It was really bad on the right side of the computer. And then it had a case on the bottom, but it got between the case and the computer, so I had to take the case off. The recording equipment is okay, which I think is the bright side of this situation.
Sure.
Thank God it was water. It wasn't acid. I'd be all dead.
Why would you be drinking acid, Mikey? You're insane. It's honestly good it wasn't a hard Mountain Dew, because then your computer would be drunk, and we just don't want to deal with a drunk, belligerent computer.
The worst part is I was trying to make a point when that happened, and I don't remember my point.
Was your point that you are clumsy? Because that came across.
I mean, that is a point. I would not fly a private plane.
Mikey, I hope you never get a pilot's license, ever.
100% never will happen.
Okay, good. I have flown on a private plane, and I was more scared than I normally am when I fly commercial.
Yeah, well, and also he only charges them $800 for the two of them, which seems low. From Idaho to Denver? That's not a short flight.
He's like, I just need the beer at my next stop and the fuel.
From Boise to Denver flight time, it's about a 2-hour flight. That's on a commercial airliner.
That's a pretty long flight, man. That's half the country. Because it's probably a little bit less than half the country, because from Nashville to LA, it's 4 hours.
Yeah, it's north to south, essentially. Yeah, so it's not an insignificant flight. $800 for a charter flight.
That might pay for the gas.
Well, you get what you pay for, obviously.
Yeah, exactly. Especially because this guy is going to bring his racist dog along, because his dog only barks at Idris Elba.
It's funny though, because he ends up living with Idris Elba. So I guess the dog has the biggest arc in this movie, because he learns that it's not okay to be racist, and he, through his developing of the relationship that he now has with Idris Elba.
I mean, like most other dogs, at the end of this movie, he doesn't see color. Dogs are colorblind. Okay. Anyway, do you want to talk about why they don't have to file a flight plan?
Yeah, sure. Let's do it.
All right. So they're flying under what's called VFR, which is visual flight rules. The only time you can do this is when the weather is good enough that you can see a certain distance.
Well, it's a good thing there wasn't a storm or anything.
Right? And if you're a small enough plane, because only small planes can do this, because they're flying at different altitudes. Now, a flight this long with a storm, VFR is probably not wise, but it does still happen occasionally. And it does depend on where you're going, how experienced of a pilot you are. There's a whole bunch of stuff that goes into it. But it is possible that they would be flying completely without a flight plan under just visual flight rules.
I got the impression, and we'll get to it in a bit, but there was a rush for them to take off because of the storm. Mm-hmm. So I got the impression that they didn't do a flight plan because A, they didn't have to, and B, they wanted to take off as fast as possible.
Yeah, and that definitely would be as well, but also just for that size of a plane. It's not as unusual as you think. Now, the one thing is that they still have to announce that they're taking off. So and they do still talk to the tower. So the tower would have known they were out there. It doesn't excuse you from communicating with the tower at all. It just means that you don't have to file a flight plan.
Yeah. I would imagine, and this is me not knowing that much about sort of flight controls and everything the towers can see, but I'd imagine we know where planes are that are over US airspace almost at all times, right?
Commercial airliners, absolutely.
Oh, so maybe not private, small prop planes.
Small planes, they still typically have at least some idea. The main reason they do is so that planes don't collide.
Yeah.
But that's one of the reasons for VFR. So if you're a small plane flying under VFR, that means that you are kind of responsible for watching your airspace.
Yeah.
And making sure you don't hit anybody. And they do fly in different airspace than commercial airliners. So.
Okay.
Anyway, so on the plane, they're kind of starting to get to know each other. We find out he was at a medical conference. She was photographing neo-Nazis, which is a thing. Northern Idaho is neo-Nazi central.
Oh, yeah.
So everyone's kind of talking. Everything's fine, but they hit a little bit of turbulence. Everything still seems okay, but then as the turbulence kind of gets a little bit worse, we see the pilot try to call the tower, and something seems off. The pilot clearly has a stroke. The plane nosedives. The tail of the plane is torn off from trying to turn in different directions. And they magically hold the dog into the plane, so the dog makes it. The plane crashes into the snow. They wake up in the plane. Kate Winslet's unconscious. The pilot is dead. Idris Elba is hurt, but does, because he's a doctor, establish that Kate Winslet's alive. The dog is alive, and he can probably save her if he tries.
Yeah, I mean, he checks to see her injuries, and she has like a part of her bone. It looks like it's sticking out of her leg, right?
She's
like
got a big gash in her leg.
Yeah. But her shin is like pretty messed up.
She's still got great legs.
She's gonna have a wicked scar, but yeah.
As I was watching this, I figured out I was gonna be like if I was in a plane crash like this, they'd be like, "Oh, can you like help us? Can you like treat us or whatever?" And I'd be like, "I can only treat hurt feelings."
As in, I'm pretty hurt that this plane is down. Like, I'm sad about it.
I can help us process the disappointment that this flight didn't work out for us. But as for your leg, we're pretty fucked.
Yeah.
But we're all gonna die.
So much.
You might feel a little bit better about it because I'm here, but we are all going to die.
And because we're all going to die, I'm going to be like, let's die sooner and make dumb decisions like Kate Winslet. Which I think was her philosophy during this.
She was just like, go with your heart. And I was like, but also your eyes.
Closed eyes, full hearts can't lose.
Their way in the woods walking off the mountain.
It's a mountain.
I do love, at some point, they're just like, okay, we have to get off this mountain, so we're going to go down. And then when they get to, the tree line, they're like, all right, now what do we do? There wasn't, a ski lift here, so now we have to continue on, but, where do we go?
That was her plan. That was the flaw, because she was just like, I'm just going to go.
Well, they wouldn't have found him, but they could have ate Bo Bridges'
dog?
No, both of them.
Oh, my God. You guys, I swear to God, if we ever travel together and we crash, I am leaving immediately because I know you guys are like, we've been crashed for 15 minutes and these people look delicious.
Hey, Todd, I'm taking your butt.
Todd died on the impact of the crash, but the only thing left is his feet because we refused to eat them.
Yeah.
Why does he have defensive stab wounds on his arms if he died in the crash?
Plane crash. It was really, really messy. Yeah.
Why is Animotion's Obsession still playing in the background? I don't know.
There's no telling.
Don't worry about it.
Okay, here's what I hate most about this movie. She's like, we're on this mountain and I don't even know you. And the only question you ask is about his wife. What about his favorite color? What about his hobbies? You don't ask him any of these questions.
I do think they yada over some of that stuff because they are on the top of the mountain for 3.5 days before they even start to walk down it. And we don't really get a whole lot of getting to know you conversation on the mountain. A lot of the stuff they're talking about while they're up above the tree line is how are we going to survive? We have this many almonds. As long as we can create fresh water, that sort of thing. The rule of threes comes up, right? 3 minutes without air, 3 days without water, and 3 weeks without food, right?
Yeah, well, and even then, Mikey's right. We get the same questions over again. It's always about his wife.
Yeah.
Which, again, is part of what I really don't like about this movie, because I feel like we have the same conversation 3 or 4 times.
What happens on Crash Mountain stays on Crash Mountain. Know what I'm saying?
No.
Okay. If you were in a plane crash and you've had sex with a fellow survivor,
okay,
would you come back and tell your significant other?
Yes.
I think this falls under Outlander rules, much like 6 Days, 7 Nights.
I mean, if 6 Days, 7 Nights does, this
definitely does. I think this is fair game. Yeah.
I do too. I would just have to be like, look, Kate Winslet was on my flight and we had sex.
But Paige, this is on a flight that did not crash.
Turns out I was in a helicopter with Chris Hemsworth and Chris Evans. I can't explain anything that I did. I'm sorry.
So I had an Ice Chris sandwich.
Ice Chris sandwich.
Yeah.
I helped set the leg of Academy Award winning actress Kate Winslet, and then we had unprotected sex.
I do love how it is unprotected.
Where
you're
are they
very
gonna get
firm about
protection
it.
time? Unless he carries it with him down the mountain.
A good doctor would.
A good doctor knows how to pull out.
Hang on a second. Let me sterilize my dick.
He's just melting a bunch of snow and he's just kind of stirring his dick in it.
The porn you watch is nuts.
You
Paige.
said sterilize.
That's how they melt the snow, Paige. He just drops it in.
Yeah.
And it melts around it because it's so hot.
What kind of porn do you want?
The best kind,
Just
Paige.
all dixicle all the time.
Oh, God.
He's got a dick sickle? Is that what you said?
I said all dixicle all the time.
Hell yeah.
Guys,
Hell
that
yeah.
sex scene was hot. And then
It
her
is.
in
It
her
is
tank
hot.
top, it was I was like, man, that's Kate Winslet right there.
It is hot, but I feel like it doesn't belong in this movie.
Shut your mouth, Paige.
It doesn't belong in this movie.
He took her to a cabin.
No, they found a cabin so they wouldn't die.
Same rules.
Mikey, if you ever say like, hey, do you want to go skiing this weekend? We can stay at a cabin. I'm never going with you.
Why do you think it's chaletted?
Yo, I got chaletted this weekend, guys.
Do you remember what happened to the cabin at Evil Dead? Do you really want to set this precedent?
I ain't gonna read there. You know what I'm saying?
You know what they would do if they found that book? They'd burn it for heat.
I ain't got time to read.
It is fun to talk about. Just admit that it's fun to talk about.
It's okay to talk about.
Mikey, I liked the movie.
I know you did, Todd. Todd and I went to Todd's house earlier today. He's like, I like the movie. Don't tell anybody.
I didn't say don't tell anybody. I was fully prepared to talk about how I liked it tonight. I have said I liked it.
Good.
Paige, I fucking hated this movie.
He always changes it when you say something, Paige. He doesn't want to get on your bad side.
No, I sort of enjoyed this movie, although I think Paige is right about her criticisms of it.
Thank you.
I just enjoyed it.
I'm not saying it's great. I'm saying I liked it.
Yeah, exactly.
Those are two different things. Again, how hard you have to swing to be like, we want the plane to crash. We want them to talk about cannibalism. They're on the mountain. They walk down the mountain. They find a cabin. Should they fuck? Let's do it. Like, and then like, should they leave their partners when they get back?
Mikey, I like that you listed talking about cannibalism, but that's just something we did. That doesn't happen in the movie at all.
They yada yada that.
They had a whole body full of useful meat that they just left in the snow.
And they've
God.
seen alive. They know that frozen meat is right outside the plane.
Grill that up like a steak.
You guys jumped to cannibalism way too early.
I'm just saying, if you're not even going to jokingly have that conversation.
This is Donner Party levels of cannibalism.
That's what I was going to say. I'll say that this is the situation where cannibalism, I feel, is excusable because it's like life or death situation. That dude died in the plane crash. No one has to kill that guy. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
As much as I loved that dog, if that cougar killed the dog,
I would have
we're gonna
absolutely
eat
eaten that dog. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a terrible thing to think about, but like, I wouldn't be able to kill the dog, but if the dog's already dead, I'm eating the dog.
Yeah.
Okay, now I have to pose a question.
Okay.
Yes, I would have sex with both Idris Elba and Kate Winslet at the same time, Mikey.
Honestly, though, same.
I mean,
Yeah.
yes, obviously. You'd be like, wow, they're scumming it with me.
Yeah, you have an Oscar award winner, and then I'm sure Idris Elba has won a bunch of shit, and they're slumming it with a podcaster. Yeah, they could do way better than us.
Yeah.
I want this movie to be about a third wheel, and it's called The Mountain Between Us, and you're the mountain, and it's about Idris Elba and Kate Winslet fucking during your plane crash, and you have to be the third wheel the whole survival story.
I love that. You're like out collecting berries and shit.
Instead of dog, it's just me.
Dressed as a dog, like I'm a furry.
Oh, I have a better pitch. The whole movie is as is.
Okay.
But you have a reveal that the dog is actually Mikey, and they just pictured him as a dog, like that movie about the guy who goes down on a boat with a
Life of Pi.
Yeah, the Life of Pi. It's just like Life of Pi, except it was Kate Winslet and Idris Elba just trying to avoid Mikey the whole movie.
And then she mails in the pictures, and she's like, "Only you would understand." Like, I'm in the background of all the shots. Like, stop having sex.
Wait, is the tiger? I have never finished Life of Pi. Is the tiger not a tiger?
It's a guy.
What?
Yeah, the tiger is the guy who killed his father or something like
I don't
that.
know. I wasn't
I can't
a huge
remember.
fan, but I'm sure if I say
Yeah.
that, he'll like shit talk me on Twitter now.
No, I liked Life of Pi. It was, cinematically speaking, it was amazing.
Oh, and I'll get a word call. Hey, McKinsey.
Hi. Did you spill water all over your computer? We could sense it from here.
Okay. Two parts. If you had to come back from a plane crash, what would be harder to tell your significant other? That one, you had sex with someone else on the crash, or that you ate a person?
I think the infidelity would be harder to talk about.
Or that you ate a person while you had sex with someone else?
Hey, yo, have you ever had human meat while having sex with that human?
It's an orgy
Meat.
buffet. I think it would depend on how things were going to continue upon arriving home. Am I going to continue having sex with that person? Am I going to continue eating people? I feel like if I'm not going to continue doing either of those activities, then I don't really have a problem admitting to either.
until that person emails you or mails you the pictures they took of you sleeping in bed with human meat that they just fornicated with you with.
Wait, what?
And Mikey in the background.
What are you doing?
I think Mikey's fucking the meat before he eats it. I mean, that's what he's getting at.
You got to pound the meat, buddy.
We don't have a meat tenderizer, so I had to use my dick.
Gotta tenderize it.
What would be harder to hear from your partner? That they ate a person or that they had sex with someone else during the crash?
If it was Idris Elba, it would be that one because there's no way she's coming back to me after enjoying Idris.
Okay, in this scenario where they were stuck on a mountain or just in everyday life, because
stuck on a mountain.
Okay, stuck on a mountain. I mean, again, I feel like desperate times, desperate measures. Neither one of those things bothers me.
But that's like a big 1-2 punch of the same conversation. They're like, look, I got to tell you a couple things.
I'd be like, yeah, you were stuck on a mountain. Good. Thank you for eating a person and coming back to me alive.
Exactly. Your job is to survive. Thank you for doing everything you had to do.
That.
Except for the Idris Elba part. You didn't have to do that. I understand that you enjoyed it.
If
but
Jake enjoyed the sweet love of Idris Elba and that kept him alive to come back to me, we can get through it.
But all he says now is, it's time to save the world.
Wait, what if, okay, I'm going to ask Jake right now.
Yes.
What would be harder for him to hear? I'm
Hear from
texting
you.
him. We'll see what he replies.
I just know that if that happened to me, I would be Dermot Mulroney in that situation. Like, there's no way she's staying with me after having Idris Elba.
Well, I also, that's a life-changing traumatic experience. Stuff's not going to be the same.
And she didn't seem super into him before that.
Yeah.
The fact that she was getting there the day of her wedding, she was clearly more into her work than she was him. And I'm not knocking that. That's fine. But I don't feel like that marriage or in that relationship was super top priority for her. But that Idris dick definitely is going forward.
Here's what I wrote. Okay. I've just come home from being stranded on a mountain and almost dying. What's worse for you to hear? That I've banged someone else or eaten human meat? We'll set this aside and wait for his response. Anyway, I'm going to say back to this movie, but not much happens in this movie.
Yeah, we're almost done.
Yeah, they go through the pilot's pockets. They make a fire with the plane insulation, which is really smart. I wish he had taken some of that plane insulation with him. I think he maybe does.
What did he say?
Jake just says, the meat thing.
So wait, he would be more upset that you ate someone than had sex with someone?
Yes, apparently.
Okay.
It's such an interesting question. It's really the question of our time.
It is an interesting question, but one of those things you probably had to do to survive, and one of those things you didn't have to do to survive.
We had to stay warm, Todd. I just said...
Friction keeps you warm.
We gotta...
What'd he say?
So, okay. So I asked him the question, and he was like, the meat thing. And he says, well, you'd never be stranded on a mountain unless your plane crashed. And I said, that's what happened. What if it was Idris Elba? And he says, I'd throw you a party? ? Right answer.
I'm going to text the random girl I matched with on a dating app today and see what she says.
Yes, Mikey. She's definitely going to block you. But I can't wait. He says he would include a banner where you put all the letters together, but instead it just reads, welcome dick, honey, instead of welcome home. And then I'm writing, pardon me while I go crash a plane.
Well, you're on a watch list.
No. NSA's going to get that text and be like, well, it is Idris Elba. So anyway, he does manage to kind of keep her warm enough for her to regain consciousness. And at this point, they realize that they're kind of totally fucked.
Yeah.
I miss my water.
Do you want to go get more water?
I do like that they do spend some time, or Idris spends some time, fixing up a shelter out of the plane that they're still in, right? So he gets a tarp and puts it over the where the tail was to keep it the warmer air in, and he builds a fire inside and stuff, and he has a little shelter going for them.
Right. And they do try to fire off a couple flares at planes, but they're too far away. The planes don't see them.
I remember this from our 6 Days and 7 Nights episode. I remember Han Solo saying that the plane was too high to see a flare.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it would even helped if they had gotten it beforehand.
Not only was it too high, it was way past them already when they fired the I was like,
Yeah.
What are you, a doctor of what, you idiot?
Stupidology.
Don't you talk about Idris Elba that way?
But I honestly sort of understood it. it's just the desperate moment and you just hoping for anything to get you out of that situation. So I understood why that happened, but you're right. There's no way.
Look, I've been in a lot of desperate moments, and I've been hoping for anything.
Yeah, hoping for someone to die so you can taste that sweet, sweet human meat.
I don't know how to do an intervention for cannibalism, but I'm going to look it up online because I'm concerned about you guys.
Texas Day Brazil.
Texas Day Boat Bridges.
That's what they should have had on the mountain.
We'll get to our cannibalism intervention later at Fogo de Chao.
The girl from the dating app would like to know how many days I was stranded.
Okay, in the movie, it's 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Three weeks.
3 weeks. I like her already, though. I like that she's willing to roll with the weird. What did you write to her as the message to explain why you're asking this?
If I did, and I was like, if I was in a plane crash and we were married and I came back and told you I ate human meat and had sex with someone else, what would you be more upset with?
Oh, she is chaos, and I love it.
I do love that she responded like seriously to
And
that
didn't
question.
just immediately block
Yeah,
you for thinking that
exactly.
you're going to eat people.
She probably looked over her roommate and was like, this guy's got some awesome questions, man.
I feel like we're really connecting.
That's how
Paige.
That's how
Yes.
low the bar is set on dating apps. They're like, he really wants to get to know me.
He wants to get to know me. He gave me these cotton candy grapes, but I don't think anything's going to go wrong.
I hear he eats ass.
Okay, she says, honestly, if you went through all that, I don't know if I could be upset about either.
You?
She's like, yeah, we're good. I'm assuming you would just tell me it was to stay warm and I'd have to accept the sex part.
I guess now you know what to say if you ever cheated on her.
We were stranded at the club for like 2.5 hours.
We were working late. It got really cold. It was just like we had to keep warm or whatever.
We were stuck in an elevator for 4 hours.
We were stuck in that hotel room.
Yeah, we paid to be there, but there was nothing in the mini bar. What was I supposed to do?
I like the idea that the dog was me, and I'm just in the background of these pictures that she's taking of him naked. I'm like, please stop having sex. I'm also in this cabin.
I really do love the Life of Pi edit of this movie, which honestly, Mikey, I could easily shoot. Like you could just come over here in this room that I'm in right now. I'll put up my green screen and we could just drop it in. We could just drop it in one of the photos. You know what I'm saying?
Think about me going like, Kate Winslet, I'm going to protect you from this mountain lion. I get bit and I'm like, oh my God. And then he's like sewing me up and he's like, this fucking stupid dog. And you're like, I'm me.
I'm a human person. Shut up, dog.
Go look for dog. My name is Mikey.
Right here. Have you ever seen like when a dog is trying like not to look at you? Like cats do it too sometimes, where they're just like,
Yeah,
I picture you as a person with that facial expression.
just all the time.
All
That's
the
how I
time.
picture you. Yeah.
Me.
Yeah, exactly that one. I like that everyone's on board with not being mad about anything that happens in this movie and just being like, well, it was on the mountain.
I don't know. I think I might be mad about that. I don't know. Todd, would you be mad?
If Natalie had sex with Idris Elba while she was stranded for 3 weeks on the top of a mountain,
No, I'd high five her.
I would be sad about it. But like, I would like if Natalie had sex with Idris Elba just on a random Tuesday here in town, I'd be sad about it. But honestly, I'd get it.
I think the celebrity part. What about just a regular dude?
Is he hotter than you?
Me personally, probably statistically.
I was going to say the same thing. I was like, odds are, yeah, he's more attractive than me.
Because if she was like, we had to have sex to stay warm, and then she shows a picture, and you're just like, I love you, honey. I'm so sorry you had to go through that. Like,
Oh yeah. So if he's like an uggo, like if he was like an ugly version of the ugly me, yeah, I probably wouldn't be as mad about it as if it was like Ryan Reynolds.
yeah.
Because if it was Ryan Reynolds, it'd be like 8 hours before it happened.
Yeah. It'd be like, I'm kind of chilly and I didn't bring a jacket. Should we have sex for warmth?
I think Idris Elba's hotter than Ryan Reynolds.
I personally would choose Idris Elba over Ryan Reynolds.
He's up there for sure.
Yeah,
I mean, sploosh.
Okay. So we talk about it a lot. We know who's on the spit list. Idris Elba is obviously on the spit list.
Yeah.
But who's on your eat list? What celebrity would you eat if you needed to?
After last week, Ricky Gervais for sure.
Okay.
Just out of spite.
Mikey.
On a random Tuesday here in town. I had to watch The Invention of Lying again.
You made us. You chose it.
I know.
He gets so mad at his own picks.
Just because I picked it doesn't mean it's not terrible.
The role of the pick is like you host us through this journey. Like, look where we are now with this.
We ended up back in cannibalism again.
Yeah, I'm sensing a theme with both of you two that's terrifying me.
It was Easter.
I feel like you're slowly trying to like gaslight me into eating human meat.
It was just raccoon meat, Charlie.
I call it Soylent Green. It's plant-based.
It's plant-based people. That's why it's green.
I think I would eat, I'm trying to think,
Yeah, this is something you really got to ponder.
Dean Cain. I got a couple of reasons.
Tell me all your
You
reasons.
hear them right now.
One, like he stopped doing Hallmark movies, so there's like nothing really keeping me attached to him. Two, he's kind of a dick.
Yeah, kind of. I've heard that. Yeah.
3, he's thick. He could feed us for weeks. He's not too muscular anymore, but he's not like. It would be like a good a good muscle density for like good steak. You know what I'm saying? Dean steak.
Holy shit. Dean Cain has 190 acting credits. Is he doing porn? Like, that's so many acting credits.
It's Hallmark, dude. He's been in a ton of that stuff.
Yeah, he stole some amulet from an old lady, and he's been time traveling through all these movies since.
God damn.
That sounds like a better movie than anything he's been in for 15 years.
Guys, he has 10 projects that are in production right now.
I thought he was so hot on Lois and Clark when I was a kid. I
Here's
was
the
like,
thing, Todd.
oof.
190 projects, but also 190 pounds.
Yeah, he's got 190 projects, and exercising ain't one.
All right, that's a good pick. Paige, who would you eat?
Oh God, I have no idea. I asked this question with no plans. Probably Army Hammer for karma.
Oh, God, the irony of that.
Right? That's pretty fun, huh?
That's a good pick.
That is a
Yeah.
good pick.
We should just watch Alive. It's a romance to food.
Anyway, so he buries the pilot instead of eating all that sweet pilot meat.
Oh, I thought he was just putting it in the quote unquote freezer for later. Like,
no, he buries him.
I
yeah.
know, but he buries it in the snow. Like, it's not going to decompose super quickly when it's on ice.
Yeah, but it's gonna get freezer burned, Todd, and ruin the texture of the meat.
I'm so sorry. When we watched Fresh for Horror Virgin, I didn't take notes. So, like, I don't know how to properly prepare human meat.
I didn't take notes either. I was too distracted. Anyway, he's made like a splint for her leg. They've
Yeah.
divided up the food that they have. They tried to fire the flare at the plane, but it's not there. They know that they can only go so long without food and water. And they're trying to burn anything that'll burn. So they've got the insulation in the plane. They've got like receipts. She's got some of her photos and her wedding invitation.
Yeah. I do like that when, I think it's like 3 days in, like you were saying, Paige, when she like comes out and he's working on something. And that's when she gives him the rule of threes. We can survive 3 minutes without air, 3 days without water, and 3 weeks without food. Let me help. Like, let me do something, because she is like, she's going stir crazy because she's just laying in a cold plane for 3 days. And he's like, the only thing you can do to help is to not help, because you're going to make
Right.
it harder on me because you're injured. And, you know, I don't want to have to carry you around, which he would.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's the reason Mikey liked this movie, because it was like, listen, woman, you can't help.
I hate it.
Listen, woman, your mouth is full of teeth and your brain is full of not thoughts. You stay put.
But she is injured. Like, he's not wrong.
Yeah, he's not wrong.
I do feel like if she wasn't injured, like he's not injured, she would be helping and he would be on
of
board
course.
for that. Yeah.
So what they decide is that he's going to hike up the ridge nearest to them with her camera and use the telephoto lens to see if he can see a road or any sort of life or anyone who can rescue them. So he climbs the ridge and struggles to get up there, but does and doesn't see anything.
I do love that shot though, because it was very clearly either like a helicopter or probably a drone when this was shot. And it's a great, great shot. It's like him walking up on top of the ridge and you see like nothing but like mountains and shit around him. I was like, oh, they're fucked.
Yeah. While she's waiting for him, she goes through his wallet. She finds a picture of his wife.
Yeah.
She finds his recorder and hears the last message his wife left.
Well, she doesn't hear all of it. She hears just the beginning of it.
Yeah.
And then she stops listening to it because she's like, I shouldn't be doing this. This is like an invasion of privacy.
Right. Meanwhile, he slips and falls and almost falls off the ridge, which would have been terrible.
That scared me. Like, I was like, oh, Idris is dead. Like, what is going to happen now? And he's saved by like this little lip of rock, like right before he like, honestly, like launches himself off that mountain.
I was terrified on this scene.
Yeah, it is legitimately terrifying.
Well, and as that's happening to him, back at the airplane fuselage, there's what looks like another dog or a wolf, but we realize that it's a cougar outside the fuselage.
Yeah.
And she tries to stop the dog from going out there. It's too late. The dog runs out.
Coming after that Mikey.
Yeah, it's coming after it. And we do hear the dog get hurt because the dog does get injured.
I've been hurt by 1 or 2 cougars in my time.
Same, Mikey. Fully same.
The cougar tries to come into the plane fuselage.
They always try and come.
Always. And she fires a flare into its eye and it runs away.
I love when you see it dead later. Like, the flare burned out his eye. Like, it's graphic. And I immediately thought when they reveal they find the cougar, I was like, oh, they're going to eat the cougar tonight. And then they don't. Did. No, they don't.
Yeah, they do. That's the meat they cut up.
Oh, I must have missed that. Shit. I didn't realize they were doing that.
Yeah, and that meat lasts them for 10 days. That's how they survive for like 2 weeks.
Okay.
But like, what I couldn't figure out is why they didn't try to dry out the hide and use it for extra warmth.
Yeah.
Because it's a cougar.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, they do eat the meat.
That's, I mean, good. They should.
He stitches up the dog, so the dog's okay.
Yeah.
And he reveals they're fucked. There's nothing around us. They could maybe find the beacon, but that's about it. And she wants to leave and go find stuff. He wants to stay put. And they kind of argue about it. And he says some kind of unkind things to her about like, well, you got me into this. It's like, well, you didn't have to go, dude. Like, you chose.
Yeah, like she didn't crash the plane. You guys you like picked the oldest pilot out there with like a weird racist dog.
Yeah, the dog in this movie is racist.
The dog in this movie is super racist.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, so we wake up the next morning and she's already on the move. She took the dog. He wakes up and she's gone. She left a note that basically says like, I'm going to try and find help. I can't just sit here and wait. He gets out and takes stock of her surroundings. He packs up what he can in the plane. He goes and finds the tail and the beacon, but it is completely broken and useless. So he follows her footsteps and he quickly catches up with her, even though she's got hours of lead time on him. That's how slow she's moving.
I mean, her leg is fucked up. Like, it did not bother me that he was able to catch up with her relatively quickly.
Yeah.
And he like even goes and like checks out the tail before he catches up with her.
Yeah.
Like he stumbles upon it, right?
Right.
But I mean, I did buy that she is moving slow.
Anyway, he keeps moving with her because he's like, I didn't want us to be alone. We should stay together.
Yeah.
Let's keep moving. He talks about that he's a neurosurgeon and he tells her that they have to get down to the tree line to find shelter. And they do. The dog shows them a cave because the dog, again, this racist dog, saves them more times than anyone else saves anybody in this movie.
Yeah, the dog is the best.
Well, still racist, but...
Well, I mean, aside from barking at Idris Elba once, he's a great
dog. The whole
dog.
time.
I barked at it one time, and he was just showing out for Walter because Walter's racist.
The other barks are communication. He comes back and barks at him that he found a cave.
Yeah. So he checks her leg. It is starting to look better.
Yeah.
They cuddle together in the cave for warmth.
Yeah, for warmth.
And he does tell her that they found the beacon and it was smashed. So their best chance of survival is to stay together and try to find something, some road, some house, anything.
Yeah.
So we cut to she wakes up and she is upset that she forgot to say I love you to her fiance the last time she called him. And so he climbs in next to her to keep her warm. And we get a ton of prominent shots of her engagement ring, which makes it even harder to invest in them as a love story because it's like a weird barrier.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's rough because she is married and like, or not married, but she was like about to get married. I don't know, man. It was a weird wrinkle in this movie for me.
Which part was?
The fact that she was about to be married. Like,
she's about to be married and they're just constantly showing shots of her engagement ring, even in the snow and shit.
They're like reminding you that she is with someone else.
Right.
Yeah, it's a bit heavy-handed.
Well, it was a pretty big ring, yeah.
Because of the ring, yeah, you guys get it?
So the next morning she goes out and uses her telephoto lens and she sees a reflection in the distance, which is probably a window. but they aren't sure. But it's their only lead. It's the only thing they can do.
I did think it was smart that they were using her like professional camera to look and see if they can like use a telephoto lens to zoom in to see what it is. It doesn't really help them in this situation, but I like that they tried that. I thought that was pretty smart.
Yeah, and so they start making their way down toward the flash that she saw. And this is where she keeps asking, like, you wear a ring, but you don't talk about your wife. And I'm like, bitch, the recording means she was dead. Like, it might as well on that recording have been like, I can't wait to get back and see you, husband. It's been like, it is the most obvious dead person ever.
Yeah. Do you guys have any recordings of your dead loved ones?
Yes.
Yeah, of course.
Same.
I actually do.
I don't have one for Logan, but I have a voicemail from my dad.
On my first MacBook Pro that I got for college, it had dictation software, which was like one of the first times computers ever came with that. And I would have to go dig for it, but somewhere I have a recording of my grandmother talking about her childhood back when she was a lot more lucid before the dementia really took.
Yeah.
And again, I'd have to go really find and search for it, but I do have it somewhere.
That's awesome.
So this is, they get to a portion of the ridge where they realize that the only option to move forward is to cross a frozen lake that is not secure.
Yeah.
And there's no easy way for her to get down there. And she wants to just like fucking jump because she's stupid.
No, I mean, and that would have killed her. Like
100%.
I don't think the fall would have, because she probably would have hit the water. So she'd land in the water, be a block of ice in a minute and a half.
Yeah. It would have pushed her under the ice.
This argument blows my mind each time I see it, where he's like, why would you just want to die right now? Like, and then she's like, do you think we're actually going to make it? He's like, I mean, not really, but like, are you going to just like die?
Yeah.
right now?
I love that he's like, I don't want to die. Like, that's why I don't want to jump. Like, what you're suggesting, Kate Winslet, is insane.
Yeah. And so they turn and go back up the hill and they find shelter. And it's literally just like a lean-to, basically. He doesn't have any reception and he doesn't have a lot of battery left. So they end up listening to basically one piano song as they fall asleep.
Yeah. Which, honestly, I would not have done that. I'd have been like, no, we're saving this battery. Sorry.
Yeah. But they're still headed toward the flash that she saw. So they kind of slide down the hill a little bit toward that flash. And this is where he asks her to take a picture of him because he's like, if I'm going to die, I want this to be my last picture. And she tells a Phoebe Cates dad stuck in the chimney level story about why she can't take this last photo. But it's essentially she befriended a girl that she was doing a story on. That girl gets injured in an explosion and she photographs her and then she dies like immediately after. So she refuses to take it.
I did sort of think it was a wild story because she like befriends this girl in a war zone, a bomb goes off, and then she like takes a photo of her as she's dying. And I was like, oh, that is something that I'm sure a photojournalist would do, but it's also a very weird sort of like boundary that like I wouldn't do that. Like, I'm not a photojournalist, it's not my job.
Right.
But like I would not take a photo of someone as they're dying. So it's like one of those, it's on the line of like not great.
Yeah.
You know?
The worst part is that it was a selfie.
Gotta get those legs.
Yeah, it turns out she's been Logan Paul this entire time.
The filters she used on that poor girl with like the cat with the cat
rainbow.
ears. Yeah.
I fucking
so terrible.
knew it.
That's
I
so
knew it.
Terrible. Oh, this one makes you look old.
This is what you would have looked like if you had lived past today.
No. Oh God, that's terrible.
Let's use the alive filter on TikTok.
Anyway, so he says, well, we're not going to die, not today. So they keep moving down through the snow and they stop for a little bit for her to kind of like sit on a log. She sends him to go look for the dog, and the dog has actually hopped through kind of like a hole in the clearing and finds a cabin. So Ben goes to the cabin and it's empty, but it's a cabin, which is going to really help. But as he finds it, he hears Alex, Kate Winslet, calling for him because the ice below her is breaking. And he finds her or sees her just in time to see her pop through the ice. He pulls her back up by her hood. She's unconscious.
Dude, pulling her up out of the ice, that looked so difficult. So it looks like he actually had to do that.
I have some fun facts about that, actually, how they filmed that.
I mean, he's the kind of dude that would do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like after that, you sort of have to, right?
Yeah. Wait, you sort of have to pull her out of the ice, or you sort of have to put out for the guy who pulled you out of the ice?
You have to kind of return the favor. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, you don't have to, but personally, I'd be encouraged to. I'd be like, I mean, he did pull me out of the ice, but also it's Idris Elba, so like,
It was going to happen anyway.
it was gonna happen anyway. It was gonna happen if we stood in front of an air conditioner too long. It's fine.
I just hope if we ever meet Idris Elba and I'm around you, I want you to say to him, is it a little cold in here to you?
I promise. I solemnly promise so to do.
Honey, I had to sleep with him. He told me my shoes were untied.
I could have died.
So he drags her to the cabin, and then he kind of goes through the cabin. He finds a couple cans of soup. He gets a fire started.
Yeah.
There's blankets in bed. He kind of like gets her warmed up, but she's not responding well. He finds like a snake anti-venom syringe, and Jerry rigs it to give her saline, essentially.
Yeah.
And it does work. She kind of comes back, but she's still really weak.
Yeah. And I love when she comes back, she's like, will you help me pee? And he goes, I thought you'd never ask. Which I was like, this is a weird time to talk about kinks, but it's good that they have open communication.
It's a weird place to put a piss fetish, but like, you know.
Are you guys in relationships where you pee in front of the other person?
No.
What? You guys own a house together.
Yeah.
We definitely pee in front of each other. It's not weird at all.
There are 2 adults in this house, Paige, and there are 2 bathrooms. There's no.
See, we only have one bathroom.
Yeah. So like, although when we lived in the apartment and we only had 1 bathroom, if she was in it and I had to go, like if she was taking a shower, I would walk to the like fitness center and use the bathroom there. I don't ever want to go to the bathroom in front of somebody else. I don't want to see someone go to the bathroom. That is not something I want to be a part of.
Have you ever pooped in front of your partner?
Yes.
Refer to what I just said for my answer. Mikey, have you? I'm terrified of your answer.
No. Well, I mean, I have before, but I'm not in a relationship currently.
But the question is,
previously
have
you
you
have,
done
yeah.
it in front of your partner?
I've gone pee-pee, but not poo-poo.
Right.
And by poo-poo, I don't mean like I'm sitting there, squeezing a whole log out, but more like he's like, I left my phone in there. And I'm like, okay, bye, whatever.
I mean, I've shared a hotel room and gotten pretty sick. So, I mean, like.
Oh, that too. I have been, when I had salmonella in front of Jake.
That's love right there.
Yeah, dude.
If you can
don't
make it
marry
through
somebody
that.
until you've puked in front of them.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
I take it back. I did date someone once who wanted to hold it while I peed.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You told me this story before.
Yeah.
See, I'm not that weirded out by that. Is that strange?
I don't think it's like super weird, but for someone who doesn't like to pee or doesn't like to do anything bathroom related in front of anybody, it was a weird experience for me.
Did she shake it afterwards?
Like its hand?
Yeah, she like flicked it and spit on it a bit.
She's like, don't want you to dribble.
No, I don't think she did any of the aftercare stuff.
Well, that's like an important part. Did you teach her about it, or did you just like dribble in your underwear?
I mean, I handled it. It's fine.
Well, that's even weirder. So like you had to take control and move her hand away to shake it?
I don't remember. It was a long time ago.
I feel like this is something people would remember personally.
I mean, we could call her and ask her. She hates me, so like, I'm sure
Yeah,
she'd love
she hates
to.
you because you didn't let her shake it out after.
Yeah, like she wanted the full
And you had to go like snatching it back
experience.
out of her
Yeah.
hands.
Sharing is caring.
For the freaks.
So yeah, that was probably the strangest. Like, I think that's the only time I've ever let a partner watch me pee. Also,
I feel like you have some new things to unpack in therapy, and I'm glad we got here.
Sometimes Jake has to go pee while I'm in the shower, and then we talk while it's happening.
Yeah.
It's not weird.
I don't think it's weird. It's just not something I would like to do.
You'd be surprised. It's kind of fun.
Yeah, because if they say something bad, you could just pee on them.
Paige, have you ever held it while he peed?
No, I have not. But if he asked me to, I would not be opposed, I guess.
Okay, for the record, I did not ask her to do that.
No, I know. I'm just saying, like, it's never happened because that's not necessarily a particular kink of mine. But, like, I don't find it weird.
I didn't really find it that weird either, and I don't think it was something she was enjoying sexually. I think it was...
Just curiosity?
Yes.
I fully get it from a curiosity
Yeah.
perspective. 100%.
It didn't lead to anything sexy. It was like, we were going to go out to dinner, and she was like, can I hold it? And I was like, okay.
Yeah, I get that. Because, like, I mean, I'm assuming that... I assume that, like me, she did not have one of her own.
Right.
And so they are somewhat foreign.
Yeah, that's sort of how she sold it to me. She was like, I don't have one. I want to see what it's like. And I was like, okay, cool.
Did you get pegged?
No, Mikey, I don't think you know what any of this means.
Oh, I know.
It wasn't something she asked to do again.
Yeah, because I assume it's very anticlimactic. Ergo, why I haven't asked to do it a first time.
I don't know. I don't have enough sex right now to specialize in anything. I'm like post plane crash back to general practitioner.
Because you can no longer be a neurosurgeon, Mikey?
Yeah, because my hand is so hurt from this time of isolation.
It was my jerkin hand.
That's why you always go non-dominant hand to jerk it, Mikey.
I'm ambidextrous.
That's a pro tip.
I mean, Mikey don't get too freaky in the bedroom that we have heard on this show.
No, he saves that for Sean's couch.
We get freaky in the living room. Hey, girl, you want to fuck a penguin? They mate for life.
Mikey's like, hey, come over, we'll watch a movie. And she's like, okay, cool. They come over. They're like Netflix and chilling on the couch. And she's like, do you want to take this to the bedroom? And he goes, no, the bedroom's where we sleep. This is where we fuck.
I have insomnia. You're supposed to use the bedroom for just sleeping.
So she wakes up in the cabin, and he kind of fills her in on what he's done for the last couple days.
We have to talk about how the sheets were zip-locked, and the whole cabin was abandoned except there's zip-locked sheets on the bed.
They're covered with plastic, yeah.
Yeah. I got the impression that, like, they just don't use that cabin anymore, but they winterized it or something. Yeah, they, like, closed it up for the winter and just...
I got the impression that they had, like, closed it for the winter and always intended to get back and never did.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, too. But it does look like it's been years since someone used it.
You wanted to buy that cabin there, Paige, and now we never go every winter. We spent so much money on that cabin.
It's because you wouldn't watch me poop. And there's only one bathroom in that cabin.
And there's no walls. It's like in the front room.
Yeah. It's just right next to the couch. Like Netflix and how chill do you want to get? He does also find a generator, but it doesn't work.
Yeah.
It was such a weird move to even show us that there was a broken generator.
Yeah. Well, he tries to go outside wearing snowshoes. They don't work. She finds the recorder and he walks back in as she's listening to his wife.
Yeah.
That message. And he's like, if you really want to know, play the whole thing.
And it doesn't really tell you after she plays the whole thing.
It doesn't tell you, really. But she apologizes. She's like, that was really unfair of me. And so he goes and collects himself. He goes outside, comes back inside, and then he's like, I'm gonna go cut more wood. And she's like, I'm sorry. She goes to hug him and then kisses him on the lips, and they kiss again, and then it's fucking on. Even though she's full-blown injured, it has only been awake for like 12 hours.
Yeah, but they are definitely pounding it out right now.
Honestly, this is a great sex scene that just doesn't belong in this movie.
Yeah.
Like, I'd watch this any day of the week, but it does not fit here.
It fits.
We've not really seen any chemistry between them up to this point.
He found a cabin.
Paige,
that doesn't mean anything.
He built that whole cabin for her.
He did not.
He left one log
off the fire. So, I mean, I understand why they didn't have like romantic or sexual chemistry, but like they were so occupied with like just staying alive that they didn't have time for that. Like there just wasn't any of that shown. And I don't necessarily think that, for me at least, it doesn't feel like they're having sex because they love each other in this moment.
They're having sex because they're gonna die.
Yes. They're like, it's been weeks for both of us, probably longer for Idris, right?
Right.
Like, we probably won't ever be able to have sex with anybody else because we're going to die out here. So let's just enjoy each other while we can.
Wait. If you don't have sex for weeks, it's this bad if you don't have sex for weeks?
No, it's fine, Mikey.
Oh, am I going to die?
Yes.
Oh.
Someday.
Yeah, we all do.
Yeah.
Eventually. But it's okay because there's a man in the sky and he gives everyone mansions.
I hated that movie so much.
Final Destination's going to come for me.
Oh my God. The fact that she gets saved by a log truck, I was just like, I don't trust it.
Well, she was in front of it, not behind it. That's where they're dangerous. Don't you go sneaking up on a log truck.
Peek behind the curtain. I did send you guys a picture today from my car where I was driving behind a truck with a ladder on it.
Yeah.
And I just said, tell my family I love them. Anyway, so they pound it out.
Yeah. It's hot. It's a good one.
It is a long sex scene. Then she takes his picture while he's asleep. And the next morning, she's like, I've been thinking there has to be a road. And this is not dumb thought because, like, how would you get to that cabin? Like, even if you had to hike, it has to be within an easy hiking distance to get there.
I mean, because you'd have to carry provisions in. Like,
right, exactly.
My thought was, even if that thing has been abandoned for 20 years, there's a road that is deteriorating separated, but there is a road somewhere that leads somewhere.
Yeah, there's some sort of access road to it.
Yes.
Yeah. And he's going to go without her. She's going to stay. He does tell her that his wife died, and that's, why the voicemail is what it is. And so he leaves. They hug goodbye. He gets a little ways out, and he's like, I can't go without you. You have to come with me. So they start hiking together again. At one point, he ends up dragging her on a sled.
Yeah. So wait, was the plan just to have sex with her and then abandon her at the cabin?
Well, yeah. I mean, that's the plan. Like that's the go-to plan.
No, I don't mean like your plan. I mean like the plan in the movie was for them to have sex and for Idris just to go find help, I guess?
No. His plan was like, you need to come with me because we both got to die now that we've hooked up. This is why when he gets back from civilization, he just runs. Yeah, he never figured this would work out.
I think the better plan would have been for him to go find help because within short order, he would have found that city. Or that logging camp or whatever it is.
Probably. Within a day or so.
Within a day.
Yeah.
Yeah. But because they have both of them, they're moving slowly. They fall asleep against a tree. And for a minute, I thought they were going to die there.
Dude, when he falls and rolls down the hill, I thought he was dead because he doesn't move for a while.
Yeah.
As he's rolling down that hill, I was like, damn, is he already dead?
Yeah, but the dog wakes him up.
Yeah.
Because the dog found the city. Because again, the dog saves more people in this movie than any of people do.
Yeah.
So he wakes her up. He does get her walking. They see the city. She sends him out to go find the dog. He gets a bear trap on the leg. So then she has to go get help. She makes it to the logging camp and waves down a truck.
She's like, oh my God, I alone was in a plane crash. Please get me back to civilization. I definitely didn't have sex with a very hot man just this morning.
So we cut to, they both wake up in the hospital. He goes to see her, but who is there? Her fiance, Mark.
Yeah, Dermot Mulroney.
You missed our wedding.
I mean, he's not upset about it. He's very understanding.
Yeah, well, and Idris Elba very quickly is like,
we definitely didn't have sex. I've got to go.
Just Kool-Aid Man backs out of the room. Just Homer Simpson's through the bushes of that hospital. And then we cut to him crying in the shower. And at this point, I paused the movie to see how much longer was left. And there's more than 20 minutes left of the movie at this point. And I was like, of what?
Look, we've all had sex with someone who was taken and then they abandon you and you cry in the shower. That's what really what the movie's about.
I mean, maybe not. Maybe not all of us, Mikey.
Just the two guys on the podcast then? Okay.
Glad to know Paige makes better decisions.
Well, I mean, that's clear.
See, real men cry in the shower, Paige, because as Ernest P. Worrell told me, when you cry in the rain, people can't see your tears.
Y'all got to start pooping next to people.
I don't think that's what we're doing wrong.
Is that what we're doing wrong?
I mean, are you sure? Because you're both not doing it.
God, she has some points.
I mean, I'm not sure there's correlation, but yes, she does have a point. But
yeah,
I want to know, listeners, do you defecate in front of your loved one?
I mean, only on the hoods of police cars.
That's true love right there.
I'm kidding. That is not true. That's not a thing I've done. But
you're just dropping an O-ring and you're like, look me in the eyes. I don't think I'd enjoy that at all.
I'm not gonna say I wouldn't.
Enjoy it?
Don't knock it till you try it.
I mean, I haven't tried it. That's fair. That is fair, Paige. Yeah. I'm a little scared to try it. What if I do like it?
I mean, it doesn't have to be poop. You could just pee in front of people.
I was very apprehensive about nacho flavored taco shells and look where we are.
So fucking delicious. They're so great. Anyway, so he keeps that racist dog, and he goes back to being a doctor, but not a surgeon.
Anymore. It's his dog, and they've come back around.
This dog has the best arc in the film, Paige.
It does.
It's got subtitles. He's like, and he's like, I've really looked into myself and how I was raised, and I really feel like I made a lot of bad decisions and really judged people based on how they look.
My first dad was clearly racist.
Right. So he goes back to being a doctor, but he's not a surgeon.
Yeah, because something happened to his hand, probably frostbite on some level, and the nerves are
guessing.
fucked. So he can do general practitioner stuff, which is, I mean, he still would be a very high paid. He's a doctor. He would make a lot of money, but neurosurgeons are very specialized, make a lot of money. Their residency is, they have the longest residency out of all of them. They're 7 or 8 years. If they do a research year, it's a year longer. So it's, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a very specialized position, whereas general practicing is not as much like that.
Right. And we do see him sleeping on the floor in his fancy house with the dog.
I get that.
Me too.
Yeah.
And we cut to what looks like a welcome home party with Kate Winslet and Dermot Mulroney.
Yeah. Well, and all of their friends, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and all their friends. And people are asking her about the photos that she took while she was there. And she kind of like, oh no, I'm not ready to do that. But we cut to her also sleeping on the floor and swimming at the gym and trying to call Ben, and he's not picking up.
I really did like that when they get back, Ben, and they sort of showed this in that hospital scene when he walks over to her room and they like talk for a second and then Dermot Mulroney walks in. Like, I really do like that he, even though they've been through all that stuff, they had sex, like all of that, he very much like separates and walks away and gives her space. I like that a lot. I thought that was great.
Yeah.
Well, okay, that part is good where he's like, oh man, this is like real. We made it. We didn't think this would happen.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. But him.
We're back to real life. That wasn't real life. I shouldn't expect things from her. I'm going to let her have her life.
Here's what drives me crazy about the end. I mean, skip ahead till their conversation. He's like, how was your wedding? I didn't marry him. And he's like, why didn't you tell me? And she's like, you didn't answer the phone. And I'm like, one,
send a text.
Yeah, leave a voicemail. First off, are you not leaving voicemails now?
I mean, he might not have listened to them even if she did.
We already know he collects voicemails.
Well, she did leave him a voicemail. We watch her do it.
I know, but she doesn't mention anything about not getting married.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
He should have been like, I want that mountain between us.
I want to ride that mountain between us.
Before they get to that point.
Sorry, Paige. Yeah.
Yeah, before they get to that point, she has a conversation with Mark.
Yeah.
And we don't really get the end of it, but we'll find out later that essentially they break up, I would assume. Or at least they don't get married.
I mean, you mentioned earlier, like, she has gone through a life-changing experience, and I would definitely understand if, like, part of that is a new outlook, and that new outlook does not include him. And I think if I was Dermot Mulroney in that situation, like, it would be very sad, but I would totally get it.
Yeah.
That's an earth-shattering kind of thing that you survived. Things are going to change.
Yeah, so she develops the photos. She mails them to him with a note that says, you are the only one who would understand these. He meets her for lunch. And this is where we find out that he moved back to London. She didn't get married.
Yeah. So he flew from London to meet her for lunch.
Right.
Oof. That's, I mean, listen, I understand that you got to face your fears, but like I would have a hard time getting back on a plane.
Well, she even says that she's like, I don't get on planes anymore.
He's like, I took a steamer here.
It took me 3 weeks to make it here to New York.
And she's like, you're in a steamer. Wait till we get back to my place.
No.
You're the one talking about pooping in front of people, Paige.
Not in a sexual way, in a we only have one bathroom kind of way.
In a poverty kind of way.
Yeah.
Everybody poops, rich and poor.
Everybody poops.
Just to think that I brought this romantic film. It's just been poop jokes and cannibalism.
Is it romantic? There's no cannibalism in it.
Is that your bar for romantic, Paige?
No, but it is my bar for survival movies. They're in the snow. They had a whole good body full of perfectly good meat. They didn't even use it.
It's just being wasted at the top of that mountain with them cougars.
Yes. Yeah. In fact, burying the body outside probably attracted the damn cougar.
Yeah.
Idris.
You idiot. You beautiful big-dicked idiot.
Okay.
I'll cut it.
Or don't, but like, anyway.
It's not slander if it's true, Paige.
I mean, allegedly it is very true.
It's only slander if it's bad, right?
I don't know. I honestly don't know the rule for that.
That guy's a really nice guy. Fuck you, that's slander.
I'm suing you.
She admits that she loved him on that mountain, and he admits it too, but they still decide to go their separate ways. And as they're leaving, she's like, give the dog a name, it deserves it. And he's like, no, I think we survived because we fell in love. And she's like, no, but then it was just the two of us and the world is so much bigger.
Yeah.
And they leave, but then he cries, she cries. And I had this thought of like, you know, when you say goodbye to somebody, but then you're parked in the same direction.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always call it I had an awkward pre-goodbye, you know?
Yeah, exactly. But so they limp back to each other.
And that's the movie. They run back to each other. It's very sweet. They run.
She limps. It's pretty funny.
It cuts right before like she jumps into, not jumps, but like gets into his arms. And I was like, oh, that's actually really sweet. The walk away when they're both crying, I started tearing up a little bit.
Yeah.
Because it is like, It's emotional. Like they went through it, and both these people are great actors. Like they are pulling some emotion out in the scene. It's really, really good.
I didn't really understand why they walked separately because she's like, I guess it was just a thing in the mountains, and he's like, I guess so. They're terrible communicators.
I wish I knew how to quit you.
I think that he went there hoping that they could date or be together or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, he came from London. I don't think he would have come from London unless
That
he
is
thought,
not
like,
a date situation.
Right.
That's like we're in it to poop together or we're out.
Yeah. For shitter or for worse.
I think that he was just kind of going along with what she was saying because she is clearly the one driving the world's bigger, we shouldn't be together, which I sort of understand what she's saying, but trauma bond,
Well,
baby.
she had the worst ideas the whole movie. Her character
Exactly.
has like no idea what. She's like a very poorly written character.
Her character's main trait is having bad ideas.
Yeah. Anyway, so having seen the movie, having talked about the movie, what did you guys think about The Mountain Between Us?
Didn't love it.
Oddly charming.
Yeah, I sort of liked it. I mean, but again, Paige, I agree with you. It is almost 2 hours long, and it very much could be summed up with the plane crashes, they get down the mountain, they get together.
Yeah.
But like, that's every movie. Like, they took the ring to the mountain, threw it in.
Yeah, that movie also didn't need to be 3 hours long.
That movie was 3 movies long.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, but it's like one movie per book. That makes sense.
Yeah.
But even then, stuff happens where it's like there's a giant spider and then there's a huge Balrog. Like, at least there's things that keep you interested.
There was things that keep me interested, and they banged. That's what happened.
They don't bang until over an hour and like 15 minutes into this movie.
But Paige, worth the wait.
I mean, well, it is a good sex scene, but still.
I don't know. It's just, I weirdly like it, and I don't understand why. I think it's because I like survival movies, and then like they sprinkle in romance, which I'm also a fan of, and I'm like, this is something. It's like tingling something inside of me that I like. She's terrible. Her character's terrible. It definitely seems kind of like a very male perspective driven movie.
It is. Yeah, I'll agree with that too.
Which I think is his biggest flaw, but I still oddly find it fun to watch them try to survive in there and then find a cabin. You know what I'm saying?
I do think that I was right about why you like this movie.
Don't read into my psyche.
I think it's true.
Okay, why did I like Fresh so much?
Because secretly you're a cannibal and Sebastian Stan is hot. Like, I understand why you liked it. Yeah.
Because besides Jake, you only date people who are terrible for you.
That's actually not true. I have a pretty normal dating history.
I mean, normal until you guys break up and then you eat them. But yeah.
Hey, there's a reason none of them have ever said anything mean about me after.
Because they were delicious.
Yes.
I will say, I really want the Life of Mikey, like Life of Pi / Mikey edit of this movie, which we could easily do. Like, I could green screen you into one of those photos, and then that's all we would need.
So funny. That's so funny.
Be really funny to post for the social share.
just them snuggling in bed naked and me like on the floor.
Just do the one with Idris Elba asleep, like that photo, and then Mikey's just in the background like
Bundled up. You could use one of my ski photos.
I don't have time to do all that, but yeah, I do love that. I think that's very fun.
I think it's a great movie that explores trauma bonding and how strong that can be.
It definitely does explore trauma bonding, but I think maybe we should do, before we do fun facts and all that stuff, do you think they're still together?
hell no.
I don't think so either. I do think that they would be together for a few years even, but I don't think a trauma bond will sustain you. I think you need more than just trauma to sustain your relationship.
I want to believe, but their communication is so terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't get along and they have almost nothing in common.
They got one thing in common, and it's the mountain between them.
The mountain.
And a relationship's going to go a long way with that mountain and a trauma bond. Put them together.
You got a mountain of trauma.
You got me.
All right, Paige, do you have some fun facts for us?
I do. I have some fun facts.
Well, hit us with your fun facts.
Mountain Fun Facts.
Hell yeah.
So originally, this movie, they cast Michael Fassbender and Margot Robbie.
Oh, damn. Okay.
Would have been great.
Yeah, they're both great actors too.
That would have been a different.
It would have been a very different movie.
Mikey, you still would have loved this movie.
I know. I love Margot Robbie too. I mean, like,
I do. I also, I mean, I know you love her because she got them teeths. I love Margot Robbie. I think she's amazing in pretty much everything I've seen her in.
Yeah.
Anyway, they got replaced by Charlie Hunnam and Rosamund Pike, which I would have also watched.
Yeah, I don't know Rosamund Pike very much, but I like Charlie Hunnam a lot.
She's pretty good. Charlie Hunnam is flaming hot. and used to be one of my customers at Sur La Table in Los
Nice.
Angeles. He's super nice in person.
So what has that girl been in?
Rosamund Pike has been in a bunch.
She was Gone Girl. She was Gone Girl.
Yeah, wasn't she
Oh.
also a Bond girl, I believe? Or am I thinking of somebody else?
I know you're talking about. She is great.
No, she was a Bond girl at one point.
Yeah, she was in Die Another Day. I just looked her up online. She is a great actress. You're right. Like that would have been a good pairing, I think, as well.
She's also the sister in At World's End
Yeah.
as well. So they both drop out. And that's when they cast Idris Elba and Kate Winslet.
Okay.
But they still had to delay production because Kate Winslet had to attend a memorial service for Alan Rickman.
Oh, Professor Snape.
Professor Snape. Right before this movie filmed, Leonardo DiCaprio had finished The Revenant.
Okay.
And so he would text Kate Winslet tips on how to survive shooting in cold.
I love
And so
it.
she would text him photos of her in horrible cold conditions while shooting this movie with captions, "This one's for you, honey," which is very funny.
I
to
love
me.
that they're still close. Like that is,
Yeah.
that's great.
Now, during this shoot on location in Canada, Idris Elba actually met his wife-to-be, Sabrina Daure Elba. They're now married at a party, like just
No
while they were
shit.
shooting it. That's kind of funny.
That's awesome. Good for him.
Yeah, regarding the freezing water shots, it was originally going to be Kate Winslet's stunt double, and she does do some of the shots, but Kate was adamant that she should do some as well, saying, quote, "I'm the water and ice person. Water's my thing because of Titanic."
This time she is the one in the cold water, though. That's great.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was like, didn't she get to be on the door last time? Like, I don't know if she can really say water's her thing. Anyway, every daily shoot for this project required a 10,000 foot ascent into the Canadian Rockies. Now, they do
Jeez.
drive about 40 minutes to base camp, and then they had to hike to their shooting areas every day.
That's nuts.
Yeah, temperatures often dipped to minus 38.
Oh,
This was a grueling and brutal shoot.
Yeah.
So early on in the film, Kate Winslet's character Alex asks Ben if he's from England, and it's technically an in-joke because they're both from England.
Yeah.
They were born only about 50 miles apart.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nice.
This is the second movie in which Dermot Mulroney stars where a plane crashes in Arctic conditions and there's a battle of survival. The other movie was The Grey, starring Liam
I like The
Neeson 6
Grey.
years before. That's the one where he takes the tiny bottles on it.
at the
Yeah.
end.
Yep. And you never know if he dies or not. I actually really sort of liked that movie quite a bit.
Yep.
Although it's kind of a horror movie, right? Like,
I mean, it's an adventure thriller, I guess.
I think it's classified as a survival adventure movie, but like I remember watching it and being very freaked out because there are moments where like these people are around a fire and the wolves are just like snatching them from like the fire. It's very creepy.
And think about that movie if they would have got a cabin and all had sex.
For the warmth page.
Because of the implication.
Yeah.
Early in the film, when they're on the plane, Ben says that he lives in Baltimore, and this was actually added, and it is a reference to him
In The
being
Wire?
Stringer Bell on The Wire.
No
Yes.
shit. Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
because that's where The Wire takes place. I thought that was just like a coincidence. I was like, that's awesome. Okay.
Yep. Nope. That is why it's there.
That's great.
And near the end of the movie, he carries Alex on a makeshift sled after she has walked most of the film. In the novel, she's on the sled most of the story. And those are your fun facts.
Oh, well, thank you for those fun facts page. Let's talk some box office.
Yeah, let's talk box office.
So what do you think the production budget was for The Mountain Between Us?
I think this was an expensive movie. 30 mil?
Okay. What do you think, Mikey?
Maybe more, like 35.
Yeah, so it's exactly $35 million. Like, and I understand, like with what Paige was saying, like you've got to hike up every day. Like that's a long hike. That's going to take away time you could shoot on the mountain. As an actor, if I was doing, I'm not an actor, but like if I was an actor having to do that, you'd have to pay me a lot to get me on that mountain every day. You know what I'm saying? So like I understand why this movie was expensive. Okay.
Yeah.
So this movie came out on October 6th, 2017, and it was number 2 in the box office that weekend. It launched the same day as Blade Runner 2049. So that was number 1 that weekend, obviously. The Mountain Between Us was number 2. It was number 3, and it had been out 5 weeks, and it was still number 3. It, at that point, that weekend, had made $305 million. Not that weekend alone, but in its first 5 weeks, it had already made $305 million.
Right.
Number 4 was My Little Pony, the movie, and number 5 was Kingsman: The Golden Circle. So what do you think The Mountain Between Us made in its first weekend out? Literally say any number.
I'm going to say 10.5.
Okay.
I'll go a little higher. I'll go 14.
Paige, are you looking at it? Because it is exactly
No.
$10.5
Was it
million.
really?
Yes. Yeah. It's $10,551,000. So you're like right on it, Paige.
Like right on it.
Could not
That's
have
crazy.
been closer. And it was in the theaters for another 10 weeks. So 11-week total run. Obviously, it didn't do as good as its first weekend out. Movies rarely do. But what do you think it made domestically in its total box office run?
I'm going to say it made 28.
Mikey, what do you think?
I'm going to say 22.
It made $30.3 million in its domestic run, but it made an extra $32.2 million internationally, which the majority of that comes from Australia and the United Kingdom and then Mexico, which I think Australia and United Kingdom makes sense to me because those are both sort of UK-centric places. But that's where it made the bulk of that international box office. But still, a total worldwide box office of $62.6 million and then another $5.3 million in the home market. So I bet this movie did make money. Obviously, it's not going to get a sequel, so like there's not going to be any more of these, but I think it made plenty of money.
For what it is.
Yeah, it did fine.
Yeah.
But that's your box office. This week, Mikey made us watch The Mountain Between Us. What are you making us watch next week, Paige?
So I found out this morning that it is the 20th anniversary of one of my favorite rom-coms. And so I think it only appropriate that we do it. And that is My Big Fat Greek Wedding.
Oh,
Yeah.
shit. Yeah, I saw someone post about that
Yeah.
in the Facebook group. Yeah. So, I mean, I
Yeah.
remember my mom dragging me to see this movie, and I was like, I don't want to go see a rom-com. It's going to be stupid. And she's like, it's great. And it was. I remember liking it quite a bit when I saw it, and I went back and saw it with my girlfriend at the time.
We saw this as like a bachelorette party for my aunt's wedding.
Oh, nice. That's very appropriate.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
my sister and I and my mom and my aunt and I believe my grandma at the time as well.
Nice.
Is how I first saw this movie. Yeah.
I love this film. It makes me so happy, and it makes me cry happy tears.
I will absolutely be crying happy tears. I think one of the things I liked most about it, even at the time, even being a young person seeing it was one of the first times I felt like I saw someone who looked more like me in a movie than most rom-coms.
I think that's fair.
I think one of the things for me in Big Fat Greek Wedding is Nia Vardalos is like not skinny ever.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily an issue. She finds someone who just loves her for her. And I love it. It's
Yeah.
always been something I really appreciated.
Well, awesome. Well, your homework for next week is to, I don't know, put Windex on it and then watch My Big Fat Greek Wedding and then check back for that episode next week.
Yes.
So, Mikey, do you have a review for us to read?
Yes.
Nice. Whose review you going to read this week?
I got one from the sweet one.
Okay. What does the sweet one have to say?
Such a fun show.
Oh, why, thank you.
I've got my wine ready for next week. 5 stars.
I love it. I love someone who actually like abides by the rules we set out for your homework. It's not just watch the movie. It is get
Right.
wine drunk.
Yes.
And if you want to have Mikey read your 5-star review, leave us a 5-star review.
I want to know how he climbed back up that ledge.
Oh, I don't know. They really yada 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 through it, a lot of it
I know how he did it.
with his walking stick.
At the mountain between them.
It's easy when you have 3 appendages to hold onto the rocks with.
I was born with this climbing axe.
So, yeah, guys, if you like this power throuple that we have here on this podcast, make sure to check out our other podcast, The Horror Virgin. And that is the only other podcast that Mikey and I are on. But Paige gets around, and she is on 2 other podcasts, Black Card Rehab and Cult Podcast. So guys, definitely check out those because they're amazing. If you want to follow us on social, we are at Romancing the Pod Show
Yes.
on
Yes.
Instagram, and we are at something else on Twitter who I just have never taken the time to learn
It's just Romancing Pod Show because they have a character limit and it's show SHO like Showtime.
So guys, check that out as well. And if you want to follow us all individually, Paige is at Rampage Wesley everywhere, including TikTok, except for Twitter, where she is at Paige Wesley. Mikey is at mrandolph24, and I am at Todd J Awesome everywhere. And guys, we got a P.O. box. So if you want to send us some love letters or whatever you might send to a P.O. box, it's actually not a P.O. box. It's like a regular street address. It's pretty awesome. It's 6688 Nolensville Road, number 108-34, Brentwood, Tennessee 37027. So send us some stuff.
Yeah.
That's going to be it for us, you guys. I'm Paige.
I'm Mikey.
And I'm Todd.
And you complete us.
To completion.
Toodle pip.
Can I put your leg in a cast?
Ew,
What?
What?
Why is that sexy?
Is that a mountain in your pocket, or are you just happy to see me?
I built you this cabin. Bye. I'd totally fuck Idris Elba's nerds.
Of course, everyone would.